Why do so many successful people still feel unfulfilled? In this episode, I sit down with positive psychologist Dr. Wendy O'Connor to talk about happiness, purpose, burnout, and the hidden cost of saying yes to everything. Welcome to How to Be a Person, a podcast about life with me, your host, Giuliano. Wendy, thanks so much for joining me today. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm interested in having a conversation. I could give you an intro, but what I prefer is if you just let me know a little bit about yourself and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So I am a psychologist who's been practicing for the last 18 years and also have a coaching business where I coach women on how to design lives that they love, honestly. So I burnt out as a psychologist relatively early on.
Okay.
I was seeing upwards of 40 patients a week in 4-day periods. And then I had my daughters, and I had my first daughter, and then I had twins 15 months later. So I had 3 daughters under 2.
Yeah.
And an awesome practice, everything I dreamed of, I had.
Sure.
And then I was like, well, why don't I feel good in my life? Why does my life not feel the way it looks from the outside?
Yeah.
And started to do some work on my own of figuring out something needs to change. This is not sustainable, and it's not how I want life to feel. So then I started doing some work in positive psychology, which is the science of happiness. And now I coach women on how to design their lives using the science of happiness instead of focusing on chasing achievement, accomplishment, hustle culture, all of that good stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about me.
No, that's awesome. So one of the things I'm curious about, and maybe this is a stupid question, but what is the difference between psychology and psychiatry?
So psychiatry would be for medication.
Oh, okay.
So psychiatrists went to med school and they can prescribe medications. Psychologists like me and I'm a clinical psychologist by trade. So that would mean more of the clinical focus, therapy, talk therapy is how we're most often thought of. But also we could be in research or as faculty, as professors. But my route was always, I just want to help people feel better. And that was since 7th grade when I knew I wanted to be a psychologist, which is so bizarre because my daughter's now in 7th grade. And I'm thinking, if she came home to me and said, Mom, I know what I want to be, I'd be like, okay.
Yeah.
But I did know. And I never wavered from that, strangely. And
Okay.
my goal was always just to help people feel better. And I noticed this huge gap because as I was burning out, I was really serving people with depression, anxiety, stress management, major life transitions. But the focus wasn't on thriving or flourishing. The focus was helping them function better, helping manage depressive symptoms, anxiety symptoms, helping them suffer less so they can function more.
Yeah.
But then there's this big gap because then it was, okay, so you can function, but what about those of us, high achievers, who overfunction, and then we can never get to that place of actually thriving? And so I realized there was this huge gap in how I was serving people. I was serving people about focused on suffering, not about flourishing. And then I made that shift for myself personally in my life because now I have 3 kiddos and a practice and I'm, early 30s, not ready to retire. What am I going to do? And then that was an aha for me of, I'm just actually the roadmap I'm following, the one I thought I wanted actually isn't the one I want in this season of life. I need to tweak the way I'm thinking about success. I need to change the way I'm thinking about happiness.
Yeah.
And then that shifted kind of who I serve now and how I help people feel better.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I was thinking too, how when you were talking about your schedule before, that means you were basically seeing 10 patients a day, right?
10 patients a day, 45-minute sessions. And then I, at one point, had them back to back to back. So it would be on the 45, every 45.
Wow.
And I did that mostly as soon as my girls were born because I just wanted to get in, get out, get home. But I couldn't do it. I didn't have bathroom breaks, lunch breaks. I didn't have a second. I was just constantly chasing the clock.
Yeah.
And I just woke up one day being like, what am I doing? This is not at all what I fought so hard to build this life for. I want to get home and not miss bath time or dinner, but I also don't want to kill myself in the process because now I'm robbing the joy and the fulfillment from my career, which I love.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking that
adding up.
yeah. It's like your you were not having the experience you wanted. And then also your patients were probably not having the experience that they deserved as well, because it was so much back to back. And I was thinking too, then not only was it not the schedule that you wanted, but also like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're seeing these people, you're probably talking about some really heavy stuff and you're doing this for like back to back 10 people in a row,
Yeah.
like all day long. It's
Yeah.
probably got to be like really stressful.
It was just really draining in a way that
Yeah.
it never had been before, because I was seeing that number of patients, not as I'd have a 10-minute break between sessions, but I was seeing that many patients for a couple of years straight. It wasn't, I was
Wow.
young, I had a lot of energy, I wasn't yet a mom. I was commuting from Rhode Island, which is where my practices were, to Boston for a period of time, back and forth
Mm.
every day. Like I just had the energy to do it. But
Yeah.
what I think so many people get kind of wrong in their heads, or don't let themselves have permission to change their minds about, is just because we chose or are choosing a certain lifestyle in one season doesn't mean it's for every season. And
Yeah.
so I started to realize this is not this season's dream life anymore. That was what I wanted. I got it. It's not working out the way I would have hoped. Something's got to change. But so many people feel like their decisions are life sentences. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, I got my doctorate in clinical psych. I guess this is what I'm going to do strictly this way forever. Or I invested so much energy into building a business. Like, this is what and there's no room for flexibility or for pivoting. And I now teach that of like, you always have permission to change your mind. Like, this is silly. There's no
Yeah.
reason we're trapped in our own life design.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that I talk about a lot is how the only thing that we ultimately have is the present. The past already happened and you can't change it, and it really only exists in your memory of it. And then the future, we will essentially never have, right? The future is always in front of us, and we can plan for it, and that's fine. And we can try to set ourselves up for it. But ultimately, the only thing we ever are going to actually truly experience is the moment that we have right now. And so thinking about like what you just said is I'm the type of person where, when I was in high school, I didn't want to go to college because I didn't want to decide. Like, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to want to do. I don't know what I want to do the rest of my life. And if you look at from the moment I graduated till now, it's like I've done probably more things than I can even remember doing at this point. I've pivoted so many times. And so for me, it's probably right to the extreme. But I totally agree with that. Like, I'm like, for me, I have always been the type of person where I'm okay with it, right? I'm like, I'm okay with the change. I'm okay with like, oh, I did this thing for a couple of years. Oh, well, that's what I
Yeah.
wanted to do then, but it's not what I want to
Yeah.
do anymore. And I jump over here, but I can understand how, like, I think of like the sunk cost fallacy, like
Yeah.
people being like, I went to school for this.
Yes.
I've invested years into this. I told everyone this is what I want to do. This is what everyone expects me to keep doing. I have commitments that I've made because of this and all of that. And it's like, ooh, yeah, I can see
Right.
that being tough to change.
But it really is a construct of the stories we tell ourselves. Like,
Yep.
you've always been fine with making decisions and changing your mind. So it's not like, and I'm the same way. Like, I actually love making decisions because I'm not a fan of limbo. I don't thrive in limbo, in between worlds. I like to make the call, I like to fail quickly, and then I like to make another decision.
Mm,
And it really that is a strength for you to have, because you're
yeah.
not making it mean something bigger about you. Like, oh, because
Mm,
I did this, or that didn't work, or I failed at this, or I didn't like that, that means something about me.
yeah.
And I don't know how it's different for men and women, truly.
Sure.
A lot of my clients will say, like, it's really hard as women to like let themselves off the hook
Mm,
from that place of like, well, I told somebody I was doing this, or I said I'm doing this, I said this is who I am, and now, and then you just waste parts of your life, weeks, months, maybe even years, that you're not flourishing, you're not living to your like happiness potential,
yeah.
because of some story about how someone's going to judge you.
Yep, exactly. Well, that was why I was mentioning the thing about only having this moment right now is that,
Yeah.
like, yes, that comes along with the decision making, but also with just the experience you're having. If you're not happy and you don't feel fulfilled, then like you kind of have to change it. Otherwise, like, what are you doing? You're going to spend all of these moments in the present just not being happy with the situation, either not being happy with the direction you're going, or not feeling fulfilled, or just not doing what you feel like doing.
Yeah. Well, it's so your perspective is not the majority perspective. In my experience, anyway, the majority perspective is, and our brains are wired this way, I need to survive. I need safety. I need
Mhm.
security. I need
Yeah.
my community. And so we're wired to keep ourselves protected in those ways. So risks are not our brain's favorite thing to take. Change and pivoting, starting new, going outside the comfort zone, doing something you've never done, learning something for the first time, your brain doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Running the risk of pissing people off, getting rejected, getting shunned, getting shamed, not the vibe, right? Like it's our brains are like, no, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you. Whereas you're coming
Yeah.
from a very like health, in my perspective, like this healthy, grounded, resilient thought process of like, I don't care. I need to be happy. I have this one life and this is how I live too. We have this one life. Why would I waste any time
Yeah.
not doing what fulfills me? Now, sometimes,
Mm.
and there's always a caveat, always there's some things we need to do to survive. There's always a bottom line. Like
Yeah.
nobody's saying live in the clouds, have your bottom line met. But beyond that bottom line, it's really important for us to look back on our lives and not regret what many people regret on their deathbeds, which is,
Yeah.
I wish I was more myself. I wish I lived more of myself. I wish that I just didn't care so much what people thought and I was just me. Like
Mm.
we don't want to get to that place where we look back and we go, why did I waste my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s playing a role instead of being myself?
Yeah, I feel like I've really latched on to stories, well, like accounts like that where they'll talk about what people say on their deathbed and things like that. But for me, I also, when I was younger, I feel like I lost people in death like when I was young. And then I also like witnessed other people who maybe I wasn't like super close to, but they died suddenly. And then I think about like my mom when I was like 15 or 16, she had a heart attack and died. Like we were at a party. She had a heart attack, literally died. And they literally shocked her like 8 times. I remember they were there and I rode with them in the ambulance on the way and they still hadn't resuscitated her. Eventually they did. She's totally fine now and you would not know. But my point is that like I was 15, 16 years old when that happened and I basically lost her. Like I was already like grieving because I was like, she died. Like I just knew she died, you know? And then I think, sorry, there's a lot here, but like when I got married when I was 19 for the first time, and there were multiple deaths in the family within like the first year of us being married. It was her brother who was like 2 days younger than me, and then her dad within like a 30-day period. Okay, and then after that, like now I'm remarried, like years later, my dad is in construction. He falls at work and shatters half his skull. And I get a call saying, hey, he's not going to make it. And if he does make it, he's definitely not going to be the same person. Like he just, all this. Same thing with my dad, though, where like he's recovered. If you met him, you would have no clue. And he remembers everything up until that moment. So I'm very grateful for the way that things worked out for me and for the people immediately close to me. But my point is that I've been exposed to people dying all of a sudden so much. And there's things I didn't even mention, right? But previous to all of this, but like so much that every time it happened, it was like this kind of like, it was like a force to like focus. What do you actually want? Because
Interesting.
any one of us could be gone in 2 seconds, like
Yeah.
in just some unexpected way.
Yeah.
And when you realize that, I'm part of the reason I'm sharing this too is because I think people listening, it's easy to hear someone go, "Oh, well, who cares? You went and did this, and oh yeah, that's fine. You just think differently, right? That's fine that you're okay with changing your mind and pivoting, and that might be true, right? I wouldn't argue that. That probably is part of my ingrained personality, but also I think people hearing those experiences as well would cause them to reflect because I do believe that's part of what led me here is seeing people pass away unexpectedly, instantly, right? I forgot even too, like my grandfather, that happened as well, like totally unexpected. And it forces you to think, wait a second, wait. This applies to everybody. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter what health you think you're in. Anybody could die at any moment. And
You're
while that
making
might
me really
stress some
nervous.
people out,
Now I'm
for
stressed
me,
out. I'm
it makes
stressed
me
out.
go, I gotta live now. You know what I mean? Like I have to live. I have to like it now is so important because I can sit here and worry about the future and think, oh my gosh, what am I
Yeah,
supposed to do? But ultimately, I might not be here. So like, does it actually even matter?
that's right. That's right. Yeah, you are stressing me out. Now I'm scared everyone's going to die. Because funny, like unlike your life experience, and that's a lot of loss that you've experienced, I've only really lost my in my memory of my grandmother on my father's side, and then more recently, in like maybe 8 months ago now, my father. And it
Mm,
wasn't sudden and unexpected as much. Like he fell, he hit his head,
mm,
brain bleed, in the hospital too long, infection, died. And but it didn't leave me thinking. It was interesting that you say it this way, because I wonder what there is to be said for a death that comes up out of nowhere unexpectedly, and how that shapes our perception of life, the
mhm.
meaning of it, the way to seize it, what it means to us, all of those things. And somebody who may not have kind of that instant unexpected experience, because I didn't leave my father's deathbed saying, I just need to like seize this day. I didn't feel that way actually, which is interesting, but maybe that's because that's how I live anyway, that that's
Yeah,
already how I wired myself. So,
yeah.
and just like you're saying, and I'm glad you shared these stories, because absolutely people will say, "Oh, you're just the lucky one, or you're just an optimist, or you're just had nothing bad happen to you, or you haven't had enough life experience to be kind of worn down and to have a more realistic perspective on what it's about." But same for me, there's so many years of my life that felt controlled by how I was raised, and my parents influencing my decisions and who I was going to be and how I had to act, that when I got out on my own, I went rogue and did my thing and came back to like a more healthy place. But
Mm,
that experience was so much about figuring out, oh, wait a second. Like life may happen to me. People come in and out of your life. There's going to be influences all around you.
yeah.
But ultimately, my experience of my life is my
Mm,
responsibility. Like that gets to be up to me. It's
mm,
not up to anyone else telling me how I should be successful, what I should do with my time, what I should value. Ultimately, it's my choice. And then I got excited about that concept, and then I just chose to live by it forevermore, and just
mm.
don't let people, as much as I can, get in the way,
It's so
because
true.
it's too short, because
Yeah,
life, like you're saying, could change any
yeah,
moment. But it's like,
yeah.
no, no.
You know, hey, when you were saying that, what it reminded me of was you're probably familiar with it. I'm sure other people are as well. But the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People.
Yeah.
Um, there's so many, I feel like, nuggets in that book that shifted my perspective on life. But like one of the habits, if I remember correctly, I believe one of the habits is taking responsibility. And I remember when I read that, it it totally shifted my thinking as well. It's exactly what you just said, where all of a sudden you realize, wait a second, I've been blaming everyone else for my negative experiences, right? When I say, oh, well, I went through this, or this happened to me, or blah, 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 it's always, outside in, right? That it's like, this is just things that happened to me. And that's the sum of my experiences, is what has happened to me, instead of realizing that my interpretation, right? My, like, the way I experience the things that happen are 100% up to me. Not even like a huge portion, 100%. The way that I experience the things that happen is up to me, which means then I can just have a good life. Like I could just make the choice to have a good life. Now, granted, let me tell you, when I read that book, this was probably, shoot, 15 years ago, maybe. You know what I'm saying? So like it takes a long time, I feel like, for that to truly to really like internalize that and embody it. But I feel like that has been the path that been on ever since I read that, was like slowly learning that like your happiness is a choice, right? And like your experience in life, whether you view it as positively or negatively, is exactly that, your view. It is how you choose to view what you experience.
Yeah, it largely is. Like we have some genetic component to it. We have some life circumstance component to it, as we'd expect. There's some degree of kind of like, those are factors that influence our kind of happiness set point. But to a large degree, and way more than people think or want to take responsibility for, our happiness is so directed by us.
Mm,
And many people, unlike you saying, hey, I get to choose a happy life, many people will say, they don't like that level of responsibility. They
Mm,
don't want to step into the driver's seat. It's like we've lived as passengers of our lives, and now it's like, no, 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 you actually are the driver. Get behind the wheel and take the wheel. And then
mm,
people get scared. Like, I don't know what to take the wheel. Where am I going? What am I doing? I'd rather sit back in my, like comfort zone of misery. I call the comfort zone where your dreams go to die, your dream graveyard. So you can sit in your comfort zone of your dream graveyard, but at least you have the perception of safety or security or predictability, which your brain likes. Even though, like you said, with terrible example of loss, there's no guarantees about any of it. So we just kind of
mm,
live under this like false pretense of, if I just stay safe and I just don't take risks and I just follow the path, I'll
mm.
be happy or successful. Not realizing if you just get out of the passenger side and you get in the driver's side and you choose, you'll be way happier. People don't like that level of responsibility. They'd
Yeah.
rather blame everyone or life circumstance or kind of sit back because it just feels too scary.
Yeah. If you're enjoying the show and want to support, go to howtobeaperson.co and click support the show. The more support the show gets, the more episodes can be produced. That's a really interesting way of putting it too, is that like it's so funny because I'm saying the words taking responsibility, but I never really thought about it as like like when you think about like you give someone responsibility, and there's some people who are like, I don't want all the responsibility. I don't want to be in charge. That's really, I don't know why, for some reason that just like shined a extra light on a piece of this I hadn't thought about before, because it's not just about, oh, I'm taking responsibility. It's almost as if like, oh, wait a second, responsibility is not just me being in control, it's me also being accountable. Meaning like, if I take responsibility for this, then I have to admit that when I'm not happy, it's on me.
That's
Right?
right.
That it's either because of choices I've made or choices I'm currently making about how to view it, that is actually accounting for how I feel right now.
Exactly. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is super interesting. And the way you see it is the way I see it.
Hmm.
It's like, this is empowering. This is exciting. This is, wow, oh my gosh, I have so much more influence over my life experience than I thought.
Hmm.
It in my opinion, it's like it's what wakes us up. That
Hmm.
realization of my experience is my responsibility. My experience is my responsibility. Am I happy with my experience of my life right now? And if
Hmm.
I'm not, it's my responsibility to start tweaking and playing a little puppet master behind the screen and saying, well, what's going to change then? Because I can't just wake up tomorrow hoping for a better day. This has been the hardest year of my life, the most challenging year of my life. In 1 year's time, and we're coming up on a year in a couple weeks, we moved over 500 miles from everything we knew. We uprooted our 3 tween girls. We started them in new towns, schools, no friends, knew no one. My father passed away. My husband lost his job. It's been like this experience of, what else is there? I mean, what else is there? We've experienced moving, loss, and job loss. Like, these are the big life stressors. We've
Yeah, they
experienced
really
them
are.
all
Yeah.
all of them in 1 year's time. And I'm always like, oh my gosh, can't wait to hear what the next one is, because now I'm just on a roll. But the idea that we're waiting or hoping tomorrow's a good day. I hope tomorrow's better. I hope tomorrow's a good
Hmm.
day. I hope I get a break. I hope my boss gives me the promotion. I hope that I have the courage tomorrow to start my business. I hope that, my marriage gets better. It's like, these hope is not the strategy that we want to lean on to
Hmm.
create the outcome that we are craving and desire. And if
Yeah.
we just realize that and come back to taking responsibility or ownership over what we have control over or influence over in our lives, we get to really like collapse time on getting to that place of fulfillment, because we're not just hoping for like a better next week. We're
Hmm.
actually designing it now because we
Yeah.
can, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. It's like, I was thinking how it's how like most people can identify the fact that it's not always an external factor that's going to make you happy, right? There's a lot of people who point to, see, look, they're rich and they still have problems, right? They're still, still have this. And, oh, look, they're rich, but they still, died of this thing because, you can't guarantee health, right? So my point is that like, when it comes to money, I feel like people can very easily point to like, see, just because this external thing of money is better doesn't mean your life is better. And I think they don't realize that that applies to everything external, right? It
Yeah.
applies to all external factors, not just your financial status. Everything that you think of externally that is influencing your happiness, it doesn't matter if it's as good as you think it's going to get. That is not what determines whether or not you have a good experience and whether or not you are happy. Is it helpful? Yes. Okay. So just like you're saying, right? Like I'm going to take action to intentionally design the life that I want to live, but I don't require it in order to be happy. It just is. That's just like my preference, if that makes sense, right? Like, yeah, I would like to have this type of schedule. I would like to make this amount of money. I would like to be in this type of relationship, but I don't require those things in order to be happy. It would make it easier, but it's just a preference. Whereas like if something bad is happening, that is not my preference. I would prefer not to, get divorced. I would prefer not to be struggling with, right? You could say all these, I prefer not that, but that also doesn't mean that when those things are happening, I have to be unhappy.
That's
It's,
right.
yeah.
It's not a have to. That's right. And that's, I think, a really good way to say it. It's not because of bad equals unhappy, because of good
Mm,
equals happy,
yes.
right?
Yes.
It's we have to be the ones to decide. Like I could be really miserable because I lost my dad and my husband
Mhm.
lost his job, and you're starting over in a new place, and like that could easily kind of slide somebody down to a place of like life sucks, everything's bad. And I will not 24 hours ago, if we were having the same conversation, I would have said to you, I'm having one of those days that like
Yeah.
everything is bad today. Everything is bad. Everything is bad. And you'd be like, nope,
Yeah.
Wendy, like there's certain things that are not good, but there's obviously things you're grateful for. And you would just give me this little talk. And I'd be like, I know you're right, but today's a bad day. And so there's going to be days like that. But
Mm.
those days for a lot of people end up becoming the trend, not the exception, because we
Mm.
allow it to spiral and to have
Yeah.
more meaning or more like hooks into us than truly it deserves. And so
Yeah.
something really amazing that I think is fascinating and the answer to so much of our suffering is that our emotions to run their course, sadness, anger,
Mm.
jealousy, is like 90-second experience in our brain.
Mm.
Seconds. Now think about, someone in your life that that's still holding on to something from 1950 and they're
Yeah.
still pissed about it and
Yeah.
you're like you got to let it go. You let things go. If you just allow emotions to come and to go, to wash over you, to kind of be
Mm.
a wave, you're not going to feel prolonged suffering. You're not going to create a spiral or a snowball out of life circumstances.
Mm.
If you just let them, you feel it and you move forward, you feel it and you move forward, you're going to be in a much happier position. And you're going to feel a lot more influential in your life than if you let the circumstance dictate it. So,
Yeah.
and that's just a really interesting piece that I'd love to mention because we think I'm still angry. I'm still
Mm.
angry from what happened last week or that thing yesterday or last month or 10 years ago. But that's not because it actually has to take up residence in your brain anymore or in your heart anymore. It's because we're keeping it alive with the stories we tell ourselves about that thing.
So true.
And like,
Yeah, no,
why
I
are we
love
doing
that.
this?
Yeah, no, it makes so much sense. And I think this is one of the things I've talked about a lot as well is like feeling your feelings. When you talk to me, I mean, most people will say this to me, like, and if I tell, like, I just shared with you, like, hey, here are some people that I've lost in my life, right? Like, you're just like, I can't make the connection. How do you seem like so happy in this, but you can list off like a dozen people that have died, right? My point is that like, I have felt the feelings, right? Like when I had the experience, I allowed myself to feel them. And so because of that, it's not like this like backlog of like, feelings that I've yet to feel. And then, so it comes up and it's still, I mean, don't get me wrong. Of course I still miss these people. I can put myself back in those moments and feel those feelings if I choose to. But it's not like locked into me, right? It's not like one of those things where I can't think about it or I can't, if I mention it, I'm going to cry or whatever. Is because I've already felt those feelings. And what's interesting, so I think there's two things here, right? First of all, I think if we don't feel the feelings when the things come, sorry, before I say this, when we're saying all this stuff, right? It's easy to go, oh, what? So I'm just supposed to choose to be happy and like not have. this is why I'm saying this, is like, no, it doesn't mean that you completely ignore those feelings. It means you need to feel them when they're happening and just fully feel those things. But once they're done, then you're able to move forward. And so I think like if we don't feel them, it's like they get locked in. And then sometimes even we do feel them, but like what we were saying before, it's like what we're telling ourselves in our head. We're putting ourselves, like, you know how I was saying before, the past is essentially just a memory in our mind.
Right.
And so if we keep going back to the memory and keep reliving it, then it's almost like we do have to feel the feelings again. Because it's like our brain can't tell the difference between what we're experiencing and what we're imagining. So we keep putting ourselves through the same experience over and over again. It's like, well, now you got to feel the feelings again.
That's right. Like we don't realize how much we contribute to our own suffering by doing that. Now on the flip side, and something that people can use, which I think is an amazing tool for happiness, is actually going into the past. And so that's going to sound counterintuitive to this conversation about the present.
Sure.
But the reason that it's actually so helpful is it allows us to savor more of our life experience. So I will tell my clients to create a photo album on their phone that's called, like, I don't know, whatever you want, like my happiness journey, or like my favorite moments or memories or whatever. And you put some of your favorite memories and photos in there, and you pull it up and you pull those memories back to the surface. You pull them along with you to feel the feelings again.
Yeah.
So that's one of the powerful ways we actually have say over, am I experiencing enough of the positive side of the spectrum, the joy, the curiosity, the creativity, the hopefulness, the enthusiasm in my life? One of the quickest ways to get you there, if you're not experiencing that organically a lot on your own, is to pull up some pictures, just some photos that live in our phones all day long. And you will instantly feel those positive emotions around these positive memories. And that is something from the past we can bring into our present again and get to relive it. That reliving it starts to elicit more positive emotions. Our positive emotions influences what we feel, right? Those emotions are going to influence then what we do next, so our behaviors, which then influence how we experience our day. So we get to create an upward spiral in how we think, how we feel, and what we do, just by something as simple as pulling up some fun memories at the beach last summer or whatever it is.
No, I love that. Cool. I mean, it's essentially you're using the same tool that you've been using to depress yourself, but use it for good instead.
Let's use it for good. That's right. Instead of, because your brain is wired to be looking for risk and threat. So it's easy for our brains to look for the bad. We have to train our brains to look for the good. So looking for the good is it's a much more manual experience in the beginning, a much more kind of like, I almost said like robotic. Like you have to really be aware of how you're directing your thought process and what you're choosing to focus on. The negative is much more natural for our brains to follow. So we don't have to worry about that as much in terms of encouragement. We just need to encourage the looking for the good. You look for the bad, you'll find it. You look for the good, you'll find it. Which way do you want to live today?
It's so true. I think that's like, because we're talking about happiness, right? I think if someone was like, what's one thing to be happy? It would actually be to look for the good, like to find things to appreciate, because like you said, we're wired to look for things that are wrong or things that are bad or things that are dangerous or all of these. And because of that, if we're not intentional about what we're looking for, it is just natural that is what we are going to be scanning our environment for, like parsing through our experience and looking at all of the bad things that happen, unless we are intentional otherwise. And I think because I've given, I've talked about that before. And I think sometimes the resistance is, and I know because I remember experiencing this myself because I wasn't always like that. And I remember thinking, like, you feel like you're lying to yourself, right? So it's almost like when you're looking for the bad stuff, you're not doing it intentionally, right? Like how we were saying, it's almost like you're just wired and it just comes natural. So what it feels like is that is the most accurate view, right? Because you're not even trying, and that's what you're seeing. And so you go, no, that is the most accurate. All the negative stuff is the most accurate. So if I'm looking for the positive, I'm basically lying to myself. I'm trying so hard to find the good stuff just to overcome all of the bad things that I'm seeing, right? When in reality, that is not actually the case. it is almost, I mean, I would almost argue, and maybe this is just because I've gotten in the habit of looking for good things, but I would almost argue that there is actually majority good things and very few things that are negative. But because we're so wired to look for them, that's all we see constantly. But if we are intentional about looking for the good, I think that there is so much good and so much positivity that, like, if we actually are intentional and we look for it, it's almost like a limitless source of it. And you could just be, and of course, barring situations that, of course, like, just understandably you would be sad about or whatever, like loss and all those things. For the most part, it's like you get to just be happy. Like, you could literally just in any moment, at any moment in time, just be like, what is there to appreciate? What is there that I could be thankful for? What is here that's interesting? What is here that's fun? What is here that's nice? What's something that happened today that was a positive thing? And like, you could just instantly be happy.
That's right. That's right. It's crazy, right? When you think about it, it's this amazing, powerful tool in our pockets that we very rarely think to use. We think we need to chase the external metrics. We need to chase the external validation, the milestones, the achievements to get to happy, the destination of happy.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, we have this tool literally at our fingertips that we could insert immediately right now into this moment and feel different. It's amazing.
Yeah. So here's something that just popped in my head. Okay. So because our brains are so wired to look for all of the negativity, and that's what we see, just without being intentional, that is what we're going to notice. That tells us then that our experience, like, that is what is reinforcing the idea that our experience is based on our external stimuli, because we look everywhere and that's what we see. And so, of course, that's what we feel. So we start looking for other stuff, then we can start feeling happy, right? But I think what's really interesting is that the brain, and this is something I've read, so I feel like over the last couple of years, I just keep seeing this everywhere, is that we cannot perceive all of reality, right? That our brain is constantly filtering out reality in different ways through our senses, right? It's like filtering out reality so that we can actually operate because our brains would not be able to handle all of the information that is actually coming at us, right? So what's interesting is to think, oh, wait a second, maybe the fact that I'm unhappy is because I've been letting all of the negativity through, when in reality, there's this giant mass of positivity, of like good, like just happiness, good experiences that are all right here that are coming at me. And if I choose to let those in, I can have that experience instead.
Right. Maybe you want to talk to my husband, because I feel like he could use this talk. if he learns it on Reddit, he'll listen to it. If he learns it from me, he doesn't. So being married to a pessimist is like, this is my work. This is my life journey with him is, if I ever create this alternative perspective to like what he's focusing on, and I'm saying there is so much good right now. We are so lucky for the things that are just naturally going well or working well. They could crumble any second. We're so lucky. We have this and that. And I point out all of the stars in the sky that we are lucky enough to have right now. His brain, boom, right back to default. Nope, but that doesn't matter because of this. This is bigger. This is more real. This is more scary or threatening, or right. And so it's really interesting to see, again, the way our brains work and everyone's perception being different, like the lens we look through.
Yeah.
We don't realize how much say we have over the lens. We think the lens is just the truth. Like you're saying, it's just the way it is. No, but this is the fact. Well, there's a difference between fact and story about fact. We don't actually get tripped up and suffer because of facts as much as we do because of our stories about the facts. And so, like you're saying, in any given moment, like just you talking about it, my brain now, because I've done this work for so long, my brain naturally went to all these little things I was grateful for from today. Like, I was so grateful to go pick up my husband from the airport because it was so nice to like reunite with him and bring him home to the girls. And like, oh, we're going to have this nice dinner tonight together. And I was so excited to be able to, but they'll let the girls sleep in so I could finish that amazing audiobook I just listened to. And I'm so grateful that it just, all these little things just pop, pop, pop like popcorn. But most people are not leaning into popping their own popcorn.
Mm.
We're waiting for the microwave to like walk over and do it for us and not
Yeah.
realize like we actually get to pull and extract these little tiny micro moments. This actually came up a lot for me in my work professionally during COVID. And it was
Mm.
a really interesting time because some of us, few of us, me, thrived in COVID. I
Okay.
never left the house. I just got to stay home with my family. I had no obligations. All plans were canceled. Those are my favorite plans. It was like so good. And my
Yeah.
husband loved it. It was like bizarre. We all like loved it. But one of the conversations I was having on the daily was this about, what is it, the future and the uncertainty, and there's nothing to be like look forward to, be grateful for, be happy about. It's so
Mm.
bad, everything's shutting down, everything's so scary. This became this daily conversation, and I was just thinking how interesting it is how much we just outsource our happiness by letting it be circumstantial. If the
Mm.
world shuts down, that's scary and uncertain. And I was like, okay, well, the world is scary and uncertain anyway. You have no guarantee of a job tomorrow anyway. You have no guarantee of your heart beating tonight anyway. Like
Mm.
we get so scared when our circumstances lead us to feel the discomfort of uncertainty. And getting comfortable with that is the one thing that people realize is going to build the resilience and build the ability to bounce back quicker, and to not feel so focused on like, I need circumstances to show me everything's okay. You
Mm.
need to teach yourself you've got your own back, that you're resilient and resourceful, that you'll figure it out as you go, regardless of what's spinning around you in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. Like, I think when you, like, for example, you mentioned like your husband, I think it shows that there's like you have to make the choice, like, just like you were saying, like you had people, you have clients, you have, patients when you're doing the psychology. It's like, those are all people who then who like came to you and said, hey, I want to do something about this. Right. It's like, ultimately, like we have to be the ones to say, oh, okay, I'm going to intentionally, shift my perspective.
Yeah. And take back the reins. Like I'm not, and it was interesting too, because I would notice, so there's a difference in my experience of my coaching world versus my clinical psych world.
Yeah.
And something I did just happen to notice as an interesting aside, is that during this period, especially of COVID, my patients would come in more focused on the ruminating around the worry, like really getting kind of stuck in it, living in it,
Okay.
identifying with it. But then my coaching clients, and again, because the directive of our work is different,
Yeah.
my coaching clients would be focused more on, okay, there is this worry. And so what's next? What do I do? How do I cope? How do I move forward? What do I do to get to a happier place, or a more settled place, or a more secure place? So it's really interesting. Like there's going to be some people that are more inclined, and they're at every Thanksgiving, that are more inclined to like circle the drain of woe is me and worry and
Yeah.
all the bad. And then
Yeah.
there's going to be the people that are way more inclined to acknowledge the thing, like this sucks, and this is hard, and this is like
Mhm.
really scary, and what do I do? How do I? And that's a big difference too in our overall happiness. Are
Mhm.
we encouraging ourselves, training our brains, priming, training to look for the good, to focus on where we have influence and control, to surrender to the things we don't have control over, but not to use them as an identity of like, I'm helpless, but to
Mhm.
use them as a jumping off point of, okay, so what can I do? Who do I want to be? How do I want to
Yeah.
experience this chapter? It's not all dictated to me,
Yeah.
unlike Thanksgiving dinner where we're all trapped.
It's funny you say that, because I was just thinking back to a moment recently where I was with a lot of family, and it is funny to see, like, you can very clearly see like who's so worried about what's going to happen, or just complaining about the bad things, and like, but also the opposite end of it too. It's funny. I feel like this has come up a lot in recent conversations, and I keep hitting on it because to me, it just feels like the key. If you've been thinking about getting life insurance but keep putting it off, now's probably a good time to look into it. Go to howtobeaperson.co and click life insurance to get a quote now. Like when someone is unhappy, like what I've found is that, and I said someone else, right? Myself, right? Whenever I am unhappy, I realize that it is because I am not existing in this current moment. I am either upset about something that happened in the past or worried about something that's going to happen in the future. Because in every single moment, like as we exist, all we have is the moment we're in right now, right? And of course, it's like as soon as you identify this moment, it's gone. There's another moment. Okay, that one's gone now too, right? But in each individual moment, not even like 10 minutes outside or a minute outside or 10 seconds outside, in the moment that we exist in, we always have everything that we need. There's never a moment that we don't, because if we didn't, then we wouldn't be here anymore. And so ultimately, and I know this is like a big feat, right? But if we're able to truly live in the like this moment at all times, again, this is not like necessarily realistic, but if we were actually able to exist only in our current moment and not be thinking about the past and not be worrying about the future, there essentially would be nothing to be upset about. Because every moment, and barring you get hit by a car and your leg is broken and you're in pain, right? But for the most part, it's like you always have everything you need, and like you can be happy in each individual moment. And it's because of the fact that we're upset about something from the past or worried about something that's going to happen that we take ourselves, like we remove the happiness from our current state because of that thing that happened or because that thing we're worried about will happen.
Right. That's right. So often that's the case. And honestly, I was thinking about it as you're talking through it and just asking myself, like, what do I think that's really about? Like, why is it so difficult for us to be present oriented? Why is it so difficult to just be in a moment? And there's so many reasons for that. I mean, just the lifestyle that we typically live is one of hustle and over functioning, over obligations, like too many of everything, too much of everything. It's just, we're like trying to keep our heads above water. I think and could just be my fantasy, but I feel like if we were all just like living in the Italian countryside and like, maybe I would like check on my grapes in the morning, and maybe I'd, like make a sauce in the evening, and my little babies would, I don't know, maybe they're grown, maybe they're out playing in the vineyard or something. It's like there's this idea in my mind of this simpler existence gives us a much better chance to leave overwhelm so that we can feel more present. And I don't know if you've heard of the book Theo of Golden.
What is it called?
Theo of Golden,
No.
fiction. I just finished this book this morning. It's a really beautiful story, essentially, of what does it actually mean to live just a meaningful existence that's not about chasing your next milestone, your next status, your next level, your next, accomplishment. It's just about being a good human or being of service or being in connection with others. And it did give me this, visual in my mind of like, oh gosh, like this life sounds so good. It's life that unhooks from the hamster wheel. Sounds so good. How do we do that more? How do we live that way more? Do we all need to move to Italy? Where are we going? Is it a commune in Vermont and we're just like, making our veggies and raising each other's kids and unhooking from tech? I don't know. I don't know what it really takes, but in our lifestyle foundations now, the way we've mapped our lives out now, we've made it really hard to unhook from that and to be more present. We've just kind of stacked the deck against us a little bit there.
Yeah,
right?
That's exactly what I was thinking, because we're talking about like not our external circumstances not dictating our happiness, but then we're talking about moving to Italy, right? And it's like, oh, wait a second, right? It's not. It's the combination of both. It's like we were talking about before, like I don't need these things to be happy, but it does make it a lot easier, right? And so like it's kind of a combination of both, where we have to take responsibility for our own happiness and how we choose to experience the things that happen to us, but also creating an environment, creating circumstances for ourselves that make it conducive to continuing that mindset.
That's exactly it. And so my answer to that is the way that we dial it back. We swing the pendulum way too far. And I work primarily with just high achieving, ambitious women, we swing the pendulum too far because we think doing more equals better, more
Mm.
success, more happy, more resources, whatever. We swing it back to a place that is foundationally set up to protect what we value: time, energy, presence, right? How do you do that? To say no. Like the answer is no.
Mm.
The answer is to start saying no so that you can actually make the space for what's a more aligned yes. And again, in my work with women, it's so typical that we say yes to so many things. We want to be needed, we want to be valued, we want to be dependable, we want to be the go-to person that belongs, that is wanted in our communities. And so it's very easy for us to just become yes people. But what happens is there's only so many yeses before your time shrinks, your energy shrinks, your zest starts to just dissolve, and you wake up one day saying, I built this beautiful life. Why don't I feel good inside of it? Why am I feeling like I need to escape and move to Italy? Why do I feel like I need to escape my life for the weekends? What is that like system I'm living by isn't working? Well, that's because we're not saying no enough. If we start by saying no and learning what to say no to and how to say no, it's another conversation. But if we start with no, what that's going to do is protect the very things that we're longing for.
Mm.
And it creates that space for us to say yes to expand those things that we're longing for: more time, more presence, more peace in our hearts, more purpose and meaning, more excitement in our lives, more fun. A lot of women will come into my world and say things like, "You like, I want to have more fun. You're always having fun. How do you have fun? I used to be so fun." It's such a funny thing. Like, that used to be me. I used to be fun. And this idea of like, well, you don't have time for fun. Like, you've said yes too much. Like, you don't have,
Mm.
you just used it all. You used all your coins. And so we need to start saying no. And this is very uncomfortable for many people, if not most of us, to start saying
Mm.
no before you say yes. But that's the answer. That's my answer to how we get to a place where your foundation actually supports the result, how you want to feel inside your life.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because you said, oh, you spent all your coins. I actually think that's a really good way to look at it because we tend to view our energy and our time as separate from our money, right? And I guess what I mean is that we're very, like, most people are very particular about what they're going to spend their money on, right? They're not just going to spend it on something just because someone else wants them to. Um, but when it comes to our time and energy, we tend to, like you said, say yes to things. But if we view it as like a currency, then it becomes easier to say no. Just like someone comes up to you and tries to sell you something in Costco or like whatever, you know, like when you're walking through Target or whatever, they've got the person in the AT&T spot or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just like, no, I'm good. I know, it's easy. And that is the default. Like that is 100% the default. When someone walks up to you and tries to sell you something anywhere or comes knocking on your door to sell you something, your default is always no. And it's like, that's really how it should be, because ultimately when someone is trying to get your attention or your time and your energy, you only have so much of it. Just like you're like, I don't need anything because I don't want to part with my money for something that I don't care or be pressured into it. It's the same thing with our time and energy. It's like, I have a certain amount of it and
Yep.
I'm not willing to part with it
Yes.
except for these reasons,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I've already thought about what my reasons are, right? That's usually how it is, right? When someone's selling you something, you're like, I've already chosen how I'm spending my money in this sector, right? Or I've already chosen how I want this, and my life is set up the way I want it to be. So it's the same thing when it comes to our time and energy. I no, for the most part, I've already thought about it, and like, okay, maybe I'll be open to hearing it, but no, I don't think so. I'm already choosing how I'm spending my time in that area of my life. I'm already choosing how I'm, how the amount of energy I'm giving to this project or this thing or whatever.
It is a lot easier to say no to the AT&T guy than it is to your mother, to your sister, to your boss, to your
Uh,
daughter, to your friend, to the PTA leaders. And that's where I think a lot of the what is the word, of like friction comes in.
mm,
It's the idea, the concept of saying no. And actually, I've had so many like funny stories that people will joke about me because I have such an easy time saying no. again, that's because I got a taste of what life was like
Mm,
when you protect your sprouts, when you protect your harvest, and you're like, no, my time is not limitless, my energy certainly not, and my excitement about my life, I want to protect these things, because when I protect these things, I'm actually my best self.
mm,
And when I'm my best self, I'm going to give myself the best chance of being the best mom I can be, or the best psychologist, or the best friend, or the best wife. But when I don't protect them, and this was actually what happened coming back to the days of burnout early on in my career, all those hours that I was seeing patients back to back to back. And then, like you said, I would come home and my husband said to me one day, like, have you even looked at me today? And I was
mm,
like, I have no idea. I didn't know I had to. Like, you're on the list too. Like, this is too many people on the list.
mm.
This idea that we should be able to handle more, hack it, have the capacity with a smile on isn't realistic. But there's also a reality to how difficult it is for a lot of us to say no to people who matter to us, because it's not a
Mm,
stranger at the door. It's somebody we care about. It's somebody we're invested in. It's some community we're invested in. And
yeah.
so the no's feel riskier. And those no's become something that largely like determines, I won't say determines, I will say influences our self trust,
Mm,
our confidence, and how we show up authentically or not in our life, just from what we say yes and no to. And
yeah.
we just think we're being good people by saying yes and being generous with time and energy and money and whatever else, not realizing the cost. But this is the wake up call. There's a major cost to your kindness, there's a major cost to just being nice. And it's
Mm,
you. You are becoming this more hollowed out version of yourself because you're giving it all away. And when that stops and you start to say, my life is worthy of being protected, my time is worthy of being protected, my energy is worthy, then we get to say, okay, it's not something personal that I'm doing to hurt somebody else or upset them. It's something I'm doing to, as a boundary, to protect me in this relationship. It's very different.
yeah. It's kind of interesting. It takes me back to what we were talking about when it comes to happiness. Because if you are able to be happy regardless of your circumstances, and you prove that to yourself consistently over time, then what you're proving to yourself is that no matter what happens, I'll be okay. No matter what happens, I'll be happy, which then puts you in a position to be able to say no, because you're like, I'm still going to be happy. I'm still going to be able to live the life I want to live, even if I do say no to this thing. um it's funny because I don't relate to, like, when you talk about having, like, oh, I a full schedule, and then this person wants my attention, and this and that, and I go, like, I have never let myself get to that point. And I think so what I'm saying is, the reason why I say I can't relate is because I've never gotten there. But I think because I've always just been okay with just saying no to stuff, right? And so but it is really interesting to think, like, okay, where does that come from? And I think that is what it is like, when you have enough experiences where, like what we were talking about when it comes to happiness, right? If you realize that your happiness is not dependent upon what happens to you, then ultimately what happens to you doesn't matter, right? Which means then you get to and again, that's obviously generalization. I'm not saying nothing matters, but ultimately it's like, what could happen to me that would take this away? There isn't anything, because I'm in control of how I view things, right? So no matter what happens, I can find something good, I can find something positive, I can find something to appreciate. And so because of that, then when there's moments that come up where I don't want to do something, I just don't do it. Like, I think, like I told you, I've done all these different jobs. Like, I never got fired. I'm the one who quit, right? I was
Yeah.
always like, I'm bored. I don't want to do this anymore. And I remember, so my sister has worked for Starbucks since high school. I worked there before she did. And, like, because I worked there, that was part of the reason why she got a job. She literally works with who my boss was in high school. She still works with her. And so she's been working there ever since, right? And she's a manager and stuff now. Um, but it's funny because I remember I would talk, I'm like, why don't you just do this? Or why don't you just quit? Or why don't you just do this? Or or say no, or blah, blah, blah. And it was like, well, but if I don't, then this is going to happen. Or if I don't, then they're going to think this. And I was just like, I don't get it. I don't know. I've always been the person who's like, just do what you need to do.
Well,
And I
something
think,
interesting about
oh,
that,
please.
if you don't mind,
No, please, please.
that you're kind of bringing to mind for me is there's a different expectation that women are wired for, which is the
Mm.
community piece, the belonging piece,
Mm.
right? We're like
Yeah.
the gatherers, like we're the ones who are keeping the community together while like you're out hunting. Thank you for
Yeah.
your service of hunting for us. And so we feel very much like the risk of being kicked out, the risk of rejection, the risk of not being
Mm.
liked, the risk of not being the chosen go to person anymore feels to us much deeper than just like just go get another job. Now I live by the you'll get another job then. Like if they don't like it, you're done, you go somewhere else. Like there's
Yeah.
many choices, right? I say that my husband's still out of work, so I don't know if I'm right. Maybe I'm not, but I will still live by that because it's actually what allows you to bounce back faster is
Mm.
just the trust in yourself. Like you were saying, I've got my own back. I'll figure it out. I've got my own back. I'll figure it out. Right. But someone like in your sister's shoes who's saying like, well, what if this then? Or what if they don't like it? Or what if I get this, write up? Or what if I get fired? Or it feels like for women, we're still wired biologically that way to belong. You need to be on the in group. And
Mm.
even though we're not going to be attacked by a saber-toothed tiger if we're kicked out of the in group these days, there still are emotional, mental, physical threats to our belonging and our safety and our security by taking those risks. So it's just another perspective of like, I'm not saying it comes down to men versus women on this one, but I will say there's some biology that supports it.
Yeah.
For me, like I still choose to look at life this way of like there's another one, there's another one. It's this or something better. It's this or something better. And I believe that. But it's not what I realize as I do this work is that many women in particular don't feel like it's that easy to access that way of thinking because the risk truly deeply does feel more true than the
Mm.
potential benefit of taking the
Yeah.
risk, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like you still got to choose because that's like coming back full circle to our conversation around life. There is no guarantee. There is no security. You could die right now. We may never finish this podcast episode. We have no idea. We have no idea. And so there's always uncertainty, but it doesn't feel like it because
Mm.
I've done these episodes, podcast interviews before. So I'll do another one. And of course I'll do another one. And of course I'll be here for that. And like, you just don't question it.
Mm.
But when you actively insert a new decision or a new risk or a potential feather ruffler into our world, all of a sudden the brain goes, what is this? Like, what is this? That's not the way I've operated at Starbucks the last 20 years or whatever. Like, I don't make waves. I don't speak up. I don't set the boundary. I don't say no. That's not how I roll. And look how it's gotten me. It's gotten me this far.
Mm.
So why would I risk it now? And so there's just a lot of that kind of internal dialogue that we have with ourselves. But I just wanted to share the perspective of from a woman's perspective, there is more wiring for connection and belonging than maybe
Yeah.
for men, for your side.
Yeah. No, it honestly, it makes so much sense. So one of the things I'm curious about is like for someone who, like when someone works with you because now you said you do the coaching, what does that look like?
And that's a great way to ask the question. So there's so many ways it looks like what it
Okay.
looks like, but what it really ultimately looks like is woman comes to me and says, I'm so grateful for my life. I honestly feel like there's nothing really wrong with it. I've done it all. I
Mm.
have it all. A lot of times these are the words. I have it. I'm so lucky. I have so much. I'm so grateful. But I wake up with Sunday scaries, Monday blues. I dread the week. I'm exhausted. I don't even know what I want for dinner anymore. Like I've lost myself. And they're not using these exact words. These are the words that I hear, but they're
Mm.
saying like, I'm so tired, or I'm not having fun, or I'm like so serious these days, or I missed dinner again with my family, or I missed my daughter's recital, or like, I just don't, why is my life look so good, but it doesn't feel the same way on the inside?
Mm.
And then we go through my whole life method, which is really taking you through what you value, identifying these things, because we're
Mm.
not asking ourselves every day. Like I wish I had it in front of me. I think it's downstairs. I have a list of my 5 core values and my 5 signature strengths on this little note card in a
Mm.
laminated little pouch. I know it's extra, but
No,
I
it's
love it.
amazing. I have mine in a Google Doc, so I love it.
Okay, see, we get each other on this because it is the thing that I just don't operate from without intention, without reminding myself of who I am. Who am I? Who am I? What do I want? What do I want? You're going to lose sight of that when you're making Cheerios in the morning and packing lunch boxes and paying bills. But if you're reminding yourself, and this is the work that we do, is identifying what your values are, identifying what your desires are, which is sometimes tricky. It takes a little bit of reminding ourselves who we are, and identifying our strengths. Those I call like your North Star. That's your inner compass. And as long as your life design reflects highlighting those things, your desires, your strengths, and what matters most to you, you're going to be on the right path for whatever season, chapter, however long that is. And then we pivot and we change our minds and we do other things, but we always want to have them reflecting that kind of key piece. I think about it like the filling of the pie. Like the pie looks really good on the outside, but why doesn't it taste delicious? Well, because the compote's missing. And so if our life design looks so good on the outside, doesn't feel so good, feels a little hollow, a little empty, a little Groundhog's Day, a little languishing on the inside, what's typically missing is what matters to you being highlighted and focused on, what you're naturally like you're best at, and what you want. We put those things on the back burner in the name of service or helping others or obligations. And that's the process that I take women through, is now we're going to just tweak your life design a little bit, because all of these areas of your life are being affected by your daily choices. If we want to like raise the current of more happiness, more flourishing, more fun, more zest, more meaning, purpose, whatever it is, we're going to want to do some tweaking and refining in multiple areas of your life based on those three things.
Yeah, I love that. Like I told you, that was one of the exercises that I actually attribute like a huge shift in my life, was getting clear on what my values are. And of course, the other things you mentioned too, like your strengths and desires for sure. But for me, one of the biggest things was values, was realizing what is it that's actually important to me in my life, and like what is it that like makes me who I am, you know?
Yes.
And when you're able to identify that, it really does change the trajectory of your life, because then everything becomes clear. You go, oh, no, I don't need to do that anymore because that doesn't align. Or, oh, I've been putting off doing this thing because it didn't make sense to me before. But now I go, oh, that's why I've been wanting to do it this whole time, is because this is in line with this value that's important to me, and this value. And it helps you make decisions and helps you figure out what you want and what you don't want and all that stuff. So no, I love that. That makes so much sense. So if someone does want to work with you, connect with you, learn from you, all of those things, how can they do so?
I'm on just about all the platforms these days, but I mostly hang out on Instagram at Dr. Wendy O'Connor. So it's a great place to come say hi, introduce yourself. And if there's anything I can do to support your listeners, of course, I'm happy to. And as you shared it that way, like that's exactly it. It's what we say we want is like more clarity or more direction, or what do I do next? Not realizing that if we just have a framework that's built into how we operate, those decisions become so much easier. That's where our no's become way clearer of what to say no to, what to say yes to. It becomes clear, like what is going to pull us kind of forward in the way that we want to go and what we need to leave behind. And it's like the answer to that question of like, how do I get clear? How do I know what to say no to? Or how do I know what to say yes to? Or what does freaking alignment mean? It's we have this framework of like just these three pieces, super simple, factual pieces. Now we get to say, okay, well, does the life match that or not? If it does, fantastic. You're going to see happiness and flourishing go up. And if it doesn't, this is why you're not waking up fulfilled. So
I love it. Wendy, this has been a really great conversation. I really, really appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I don't, when people come on the show, I never know what direction the conversation is going to go, if I'm going to enjoy it, but this was really great. I appreciate you.
I appreciate being here too. And I love, this is my favorite kind of conversation. Like we just get to really explore ideas and think life through. And it was really fun. So I appreciate your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I appreciate you coming on the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Me too.
Thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review or share it with someone who'd appreciate it. For everything I have to offer, visit howtobeaperson.co.